Okay, so we'll discuss more about on preferences. As we discussed in the last class, that the preferences are more than that what we discussed. Okay, so we'll go beyond the preferences what we studied, and also the more detail about the preferences what we discussed. So we know that for preferences, this is important, the rationality in economics. So that is just a repetition. So I'm not continuing that. Preference relations, as these also we have covered. The axis reveal preferred to Y, that is the weak ordering, because X is also as good as Y. So this is the sign of as good as Y, but still X is reveal preferred on Y. Similarly, this can also be rewritten like this. So finally, our preference relation is this. Just give me a second. I have a important call. Wait. Okay. So the X is reveal preferred on Y, and then Y is reveal preferred on X. This implies that X is reveal preferred on Y. So here, uh, if I would say that this is the indifference notation, okay. In this case, if both of the situations are there, but still the consumer is preferring X is reveal preferred on Y, this is showing a strong preference. This is a showing indifferent preference. Now we know that the indifference curve has these, the assumptions like the axioms and all. Take a reference bundle X, the set of all bundles equally preferred to this X prime is the indifference curve. Containing X prime, the set of all bundles Y is indifferent to X prime. So to understand this, I will go to this slide. Is there anything? Somebody was saying something.
Ma'am, in that last slide,
Yeah, tell me.
previous one, ma'am, and previous.
Previous. Okay, fine. Ask.
Ma'am, here opposite can also Y preference over X.
No, no. What I am saying that, see, on the indifference curve itself, fine. If the X is reveal preferred on Y, this is a sign of at least as good as Y. The one consumer is preferring this X over Y, though they both are following this notation. Similarly, one consumer or the same consumer is following this Y is reveal preferred on this X, whether they are following this notation of at least as good as X. So this is showing
Okay.
indifferent sign. But here, what is happening, if this is the relationship, X is reveal preferred on Y. See, if we do follow this notation along with this reveal preference, okay, this is the consumer's notation. There is a difference between weak ordering and the difference between indifferent sign, and there is a difference between a strong preference too. The strong preference is clearly cut like that, okay. But
Okay.
sometimes what is happening, the consumer is preferring which is a weak order, and this is the result of like one consumer is still coming from this Y to X. Though I know you are getting confused with this indifferent sign, but you would come to know, by this particular diagram. We do consider that we have three different bundles. Now you can see here, these three
Yes.
bundles are on same indifference curve. Okay. When
Mm.
it is on the same indifference curve, that is also following indifferent relationship and also weak ordering. But what happens when the consumer would have a budget line? Okay. If we have
Okay.
a budget line, then this would become your strong preference than this and then this.
Yes.
Are you getting my word?
Yes, ma'am.
So if unless we are not introducing budget line, we cannot define this. Fine. So that is why
Okay.
I didn't go to in the detail of it. But you can understand this thing by here of three different bundles: the X prime, X double prime, and X triple prime. So suppose a budget line is choosing this X prime. So over and above this bundle is being now chosen by this consumer. So the same
Mm.
way, here right now we don't have any budget line. So now I'm clear about it that the consumer is indifferent between all these three bundle because they are lying on the same indifference curve. So this is also following now weak order preference. This is also following now indifferent preference. But this weak order also can be differentiated with indifferent preference when you will be having a budget line over here. Okay. So the consumer choosing between X and X2, that is three different baskets where he is indifferent between all these. Fine. So that is the one axiom which indifference curve is satisfying this condition. Then if
Okay, ma'am.
suppose we have preferences like this, okay, now it is a change from the previous one. We have only one bundle on the indifference curve. The other bundle is here and the third bundle is here. So definitely X and Y has what relationship? This is a weak. Now it is a clear cut weak. Okay. If we have
Yes.
this is indifferent. Indifferent means now you're confused. But the weak says that it is completely weak. Okay. So it's now becoming inferior. So X is revealed preferred on Y. So you're not confused. And similarly here also the Z is revealed preferred on this X. It means the Z is revealed preferred on X, X is revealed
And
preferred on
why?
Y. So ultimately Y cannot be revealed preferred on Z.
Yes.
Okay, so this relationship we follow as transitivity. So this is the indifference curve with the characteristics or the axioms of transitivity. Fine. So
Okay.
this is SP. Okay. Here we have relationship WP. Okay. And this, if we have another bundle here, then we could have this indifferent relationship. Now coming up to this, we have here the three indifference curves. Fine. So one bundle is here on the I2, another bundle Z is on the I1, and there is another bundle Y that is on the I3. Okay. So all bundles in I1 are strictly preferred all in I2. As we know by the definition of indifference curves or map, the higher bundle shows the higher level of utility. Okay. This shows that this shows that wait people are calling is मैं भी क्लास ले रही हूँ आप बाद में फोन करना है ना okay so we have here this I2 where the bundle X is showing definitely a better utility than Y, then Z is showing the better utility than X. Okay. So these three bundles, because higher bundle shows the higher level of utility. So all bundle I1 are strictly preferred all in I2. So Z is preferred on X and X is preferred on Y. So all bundles in I2 are strictly preferred to all in I3. So that is the same thing what we have seen here. So if you could have another indifference curve here and you would have another indifference curve here, then the situation would be like this. Now, the weak preferences of X, okay? The set of bundles weakly preferred to X. If suppose if the bundle is just below this indifference curve, then we can say, yes, this X is preferred on this because that is showing a weak set of preferences. And if we have WPX, the set of bundles weakly preferred to X, which is WPX includes IX. See, there is a difference. Here, we do not have wait हाँ शंकर सर अच्छा वो जसवंत को भेज दिया था मैंने वहां पर एक्चुअली ओके एक सेकंड ठीक है बोल देती हूँ बच्चों एक सेकंड मेरे को दीजिए कुछ जरूरी चीज है वो एडमिन पहुंच गया उसको लेके आप उधर जाइए ठीक है कौन सा प्रिंटर प्रिंटर दे रहा है आप जहाँ चले जाइए ना आपको शंकर बता देगा क्या करना है आप चले जाइए ठीक है हाँ ओके Sorry for this disturbance. The WPX, the set of bundles weakly preferred to X. Now there is a two ways of analysis. The one is that the X is preferred on this. The another one is that this includes this. Okay, so when it includes this, then it means it is the similar, giving you the indifferent relationship. Okay, so that is also the weak ordering. So that is how we do analyze the weak ordering in two ways. The one is which is the inferior bundle. The another one is that the bundle X, which includes other bundles which are lying on the same indifference curve. Then we have a strong preference. The strong preference of this X bundle, the set of bundles strictly preferred to X, does not include this IX. Okay, so here it is not including this IX, and in the previous it includes this IX. So sometimes here what is happening, because it is now giving you a strong preference over here. See, I'm coming again on this particular analysis. This X is revealed preferred on this IX. Okay. If I do say it is a weak order, it means it's somewhere arbitrarily close to this particular bundle or somewhere here. Okay. Then you can also say this WPX, the set of bundle weakly preferred to X. The reason behind it, it somewhere includes it. Okay. So that is why you are getting confused between two of the choices. But when you are not confused and you say that does not include it, then you say it is a strong preferences over here. So the X is here strongly preferred to this. The reason behind this IX is not arbitrarily close to this particular bundle. So hope I'm clear now. The definition of this WP and this SP. The WP says that if it is arbitrarily close to each other, okay, then it is weak, fine. If it includes on the same indifference curve, then also it is weak. If I say they have sufficient gap, okay, they are not arbitrarily close to each other, then we say yes, they are following the strong preference in the relationship. Is that clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now this says that indifference curve cannot intersect. You already have studied this thing, that two indifference curves cannot intersect with each other. So you can see there's the green indifference curve and this white indifference curve. Here there is some intersection. Now we know that this I1 indifference curve shows there are the two bundles. The one is X and other is Y. The green bar is also showing this X and also this Z. Fine. So we all know the relationship on the same indifference curve. We have X is indifferent to Y, and similarly on I2 also X is indifferent to Z, because on same indifference curve we are following indifferent relationships. So X is indifferent to Y. So from I2, the same thing is coming. The X is indifferent to Z. So X is common in both the cases. So ultimately, Y and Z would also follow the same relationship of indifferent. Is that clear? So if this is happening, then I2 cannot give you a better preference than the I1, as we know that the indifference curves map shows the higher level of indifference curve shows the higher level of utility. So here, this does not imply with the intersection of I1 and I2. Okay. So your preferences would now be changed. But from I1 and I2, we see Y is preferred over Z. अगर हम इन दोनों को देखते हैं तो definitely this seems that Y is preferred over Z, and but our analysis says that the Y is indifferent to Z. So these both outcomes would be contradiction in this case. So this is definitely not the characteristics of the indifference curve. They should always or must always be parallel to each other. The slopes of indifference curve, we know that is another characteristics of the indifference curve, and that is what the marginal rate of substitution, that should be a declining one. See here, the definition of indifference curve supports by this. This is the good 2 and this is the good 1. So both of the good are, following the feature of and characteristics of the good commodity 2. So here we have this indifference curve, which is what the downward sloping. Okay, and this downward sloping curve is also following a declining marginal rate of substitution. Now, as we studied in our previous lecture, that The better goods are always this side and the worst goods are always this side. But whenever, the bad is also the inclusion of your commodity, then the better and worse direction would change. We'll come on that. The two goods are negatively sloped indifference curve would be like this. So everywhere, above all these, indifference curve gives you a better utility bundle, and below then this indifference curve gives you the worst utility bundle. Now, slopes of indifference curve shows with this bad also. Okay. So here we have bad one, as we already have seen. So now it is becoming concave this side. So still it is a convex to this origin. So now your better bundles are this side and the worst bundles are this side. So we already have, done this. So I'm not going into the depth of this. And then extreme cases of indifference curve for the perfect substitute. If a consumer always regards units of a commodities 1 and 2 as equivalent, then the commodities are perfect substitutes and only the total amount of the two commodities in bundles determines their preferences rank order. Now, we all know the perfect substitutes are what? The perfect substitutes are just a parallel and a downward sloping line which is following the slope of -1 over here. And this shows that the straight line of indifference curve. Okay, we have here again the two commodities, and these are perfect substitutes to each other. So the total amount of these two commodities would be, substituted completely. We don't have a realistic example for the perfect substitute goods, but partially, like during the travel and all, a specific durations, or the exceptional time period can show you this perfect substitute goods, right? So the perfect substitute goods, like tea can, completely be substituted with the coffee, but maybe during the travel or maybe a specific duration of a time period. So that can be done. So this perfect substitute relationship shows this kind of a diagram or the indifference curve, which is a straight line. So you all know about it. This I1 and I2 shows also, the parallel relationship, and the slope, if you would consider the slope of this is a declining slope, and this shows that this MRS is also decreasing in this case. Okay. Similarly, here also. And the slope which we are following, that is equals to -1 at every point. Okay. From this point, this point, this point, this point. So every point you're following what the -1 over here. So bundles in I2 all have a total of 15 units as strictly prefer to the bundles in I1, which have a total of only 8 units in them. So this can be done. If you would like to draw an optimal choice for that, so you can come like this. We will go through in our next, the lectures with the optimal choices, but you will come through the budget line like this. So still, we are not introducing any budget line in our analysis. Okay. The utility function for perfect substitute goods, we would be following like this. Here, the alpha of x1, we have a two goods utility function, the x1 and x2. So alpha x1 and the beta x2. The proportion of x1, if you are increasing, then the x2 would be declining in the same proportion. Okay, that's why the slope what we have, that is equivalent to -1. Okay, so if the alpha is increasing and then the beta has to reduce. So alpha by beta, that is nothing. This is your MRS in this analysis, the marginal rate of substitution, which has the same constant proportion. Okay. Then we'll come to the extreme cases of indifference curve. हाँ भैया, पहुंच गए आप एडमिन? मैं क्लास ले रही हूँ, बार बार फोन मत करिए. Okay, so extreme cases of indifference curve for the perfect complements. If a consumer always consumes commodities 1 and 2 in fixed proportion, for example, 1 to 1, then the commodities are perfect complement. So we know that the L shapes preferences are the perfect complement preferences, and this gives you like this shape of indifference curve. Now see here, the shape of indifference curves are the L shape, and here we have a 45-degree line. This shows that the proportion of, the x1 and the proportion of x2, what you're consuming, that is in the same way. Okay, so we have here, uh, you can even have an optimal choice. So you can draw this budget line like this, and then this gives you this point of optimal choice. Similarly here we have this point of optimal choice. So every time you have to choose a same proportion, because we are using the word perfect complements over here. Okay, so your MRS, if you would talk about the MRS, so we don't have MRS in such cases. Or if you'll go for the MRS, the one would be 0 and the other would be also, the completely, either one is infinity, you will get, or other you would get the 0. So we'll come on, the detail of these analysis later on, but still you should know what are the characteristics of these preferences. The preferences are always parallel like this, and this gives you the same proportion of the consumption. So utility function for these goods, for the perfect complement goods, would be like this. Here the minimum of, the word minimum is very important, because the minimum of x1 is required to consume this x2. Okay, so that's why the proportion of alpha and the beta both are important. We'll come on the MRS section in the later classes of it. Then preferences which are exhibiting the satiation. A bundle strictly preferred to any other is a satiation point or a bliss point. So we already have seen the bliss point was what in the last class. So what do indifference curve look like for preferences exhibiting satiation? So this would be like this. See, we know that from this axis you are coming towards this better. From this axis you are coming towards in this direction better, and here also, even from this and from this. So all sides you are reaching to this satiation, which is a bliss point. So I already have told you, this satiation, this bliss point is not the realistic approach. So you are just trying to, going with a better utility bundle. So from this to this to this, and once you reach here, you may change your utility again, because your better bundle may be somewhere to this direction or to this direction or to this direction. So you move around. Okay, so this way non-satiation is basically defined with the bliss point in the indifference curve. It's like that. Okay, so that's why it's a circle shape. And we already have discussed the all origins like this, which is coming out through the two goods commodities. It means the if one is bad, you're converting that into the good. Indifference curve for the discrete commodities. Another feature of indifference curve is that the discrete commodity. See, the commodity which is infinitely divisible, you cannot take into the account. Okay, so here it's very important that you can divide the goods like this, one, two, three, and so on. So it means the discrete analysis is very important in terms of indifference curves analysis. Those goods which are indivisible, okay, it means infinitely divisible, we cannot take into the account. Then indifference curve for the discrete commodities would be like this, like gasoline, we cannot take like that. Okay, aircraft, because the utility of that particular good would be destroyed. So that's why you cannot take such goods, in such analysis. So we can only take the discrete parameters, and like this, okay, the point, this, which you can adjoin, and then you can have the indifference curve like that. Then we already have discussed this well-behaved preferences, but more, I think we can go into it. The one is this monotonic, and the second is what, the convexity, which is required for this. So convexity, into the detail now, because what is the convexity? The mixtures of bundles are at least weakly preferred to the bundles themselves. Okay, as we have seen the indifference curve, there are the, because the definition of indifference curve is also, that is the set of weak preferences. Okay, the set of weak preferences, this shows that the arbitrarily close bundles are, they are very close to each other. That's why we also call them a weak preferences. So if we have this kind of preferences, for example, 50-50 mixture of the bundles x and y is 0.5 of x plus 0.5 of y, and then you're making a bundle. So z is at least as preferred as either x or y. So this is the situation. Okay, then Well-behaved preferences you can show like this with convexity. We have this indifference curve. This is the one extreme of the indifference curve. That is the another extreme of the indifference curve. And when you join these two of the extremes together, the average bundle, it means the Z. Average, it means X plus Y. See, in the previous year, X plus Y, if you join together, divided by 2, if you'll do, then the value which comes out, that is the same over here. So that is why the Z is equally preferred this X plus Y over here, which is divided by 2. So the average bundle of two extremes, this also shows the higher level of indifference curve, because now this X is, is becoming a weak preference to the Z. Similarly, the Y is becoming a weak preference to Z. So the Z is strongly preferred over and above this X and Y, and this also shows the higher level of indifference curve. Okay, so convexity supports the monotonicity, because the more is preferred, you want to consume more of this, you want to consume more of this, so both of the goods are there. हेलो, अरे भाई मैं क्लास ले रही हूँ, क्या काम है? आप शंकर से मिल लो ना, तो भी लंच ले रहा होगा कि वहां जाके बात कर लो. Okay, so now further on this convexity, you can define like this. This is a function for the convexity. This is tx1 plus 1 minus ty1. So if you're taking this, if you want to increase one of the good, okay, you have to reduce other. Okay, so because this also follows MRS as a property. So if you want to increase this x, you have to reduce this y1. Similarly, x2, then again you have to reduce this. So one of the unit of this. So at the same time, the Z, wherever the Z you want to follow, if suppose you want to be here, then it means it is just an average bundle of these two extremes. But if you go up, towards this point, then what happens? Every time you have to reduce this y1. If you'll come down to this point, then every time you have to reduce this x2. Then this shows that the convexity requires this kind of a, convexity characteristics, and also the function which prefers x and y. This z is over and above, preferred over this x and y. So we can say that the value of this t, this is always above than 0 and less than 1. The reason behind, because the t is basically a proportion of which you want to avail for this quantity of x, and or the quantity of y1. Are you getting these points of convexity, guys? Or you have any doubt? I'm asking you guys.
It is clear.
It's clear? Okay, good. So preferences are strictly convex when all mixtures Z are strictly preferred to their component bundles X and Y. Weak convexity. What is the weak convexity? You see here the X, Z, Y. If you all are talking about these way, fine. So then it is a weak convexity. If at least one mixture Z is equally preferred to a component bundle either this or this. So Z either, indifferent to X or indifferent to Y. So that is also the weak convexity. So you need to get, the situation where this is strongly preferred over these particular bundles. Now we have non-convex preferences. We know that this shape is what the concave shape. Okay. Now we are actually talking about a concave shape. This is not the indifference curve. Okay. What we have started in case of bad and good goods, there was the shape of convexity in all the ways. Yeah, in all the origins what we discussed. That was not the concave one. But now we have actually this concave shape. We know that in the indifference curve, the MRS is like this. Okay. The triangles are moving like this. So MRS would be declining every time. But in the concave shape, it is just opposite. The better bundle is, we always consider in indifference curve this side. Here, what is happening? Your average bundle you are taking here. See in the previous diagram, the average bundle you are taking this side because your shape is convex. But here, if your shape is concave, The average bundle is just reverse. So you would like to proceed in this direction, not to this direction. So the mixture Z is less preferred than XOR Y. So now the Z is not becoming, Z is now becoming as an inferior good. Okay, here it is a better bundle, but here the Z is now an inferior good. So the better bundle would be this side. So better bundle is definitely a same thing for both. But the Z is now becoming an inferior bundle for two different extremes. Why? What is the reason? The reason is this MRS. Okay. If you'll come down to this MRS, your triangle would approach a higher triangle than this triangle. The reason your opportunity cost is rising, or we say your MRS is increasing at this particular point. So if your substitution cost is increasing, you would not like to substitute. So that is why the two extremes of this bundle and where the jet you are arriving, that particular point is not showing the ideal bundle to choose over here. That's why you would not choose the Z bundle in case of concavity, though you are choosing the same bundle in case of convexity. The reason behind it, your MRS is declining, and the last triangle over here is, a smaller triangle than the this particular triangle, and that is why your MRS is declining in this case. So that's the difference between these of two preferences, the convex preferences and the non-convex preferences over here. The more non-convex preferences you would see like that. Here we have convexity, then we have a concavity, then again we have convexity. Now this convexity shows definitely this extreme is okay for me. But what's happening here? Now this Z is not preferred point for me. It is just an inferior point. So you do not want to go this side. But similarly, this extreme is okay for me. But I cannot draw here the convex bundle for me because two of the extremes average bundle I need to take, but the middle of concavity is not allowing me to opt this point Z over here, which is less preferred than the point of X and Y. So that is why such a zigzag curve of the non-convex preferences is also not allowed to choose this particular point Z, and we could call them non-convex or the concave preferences. The slopes of indifference curve is a marginal rate of substitution, and we know that. So it's just a fundamental thing. So I'm going like that. It's your marginal rate of substitution. If you divide this del x2 divided by del x1, you will get it. And here we have the slope of this. Fine. So slope, we know that we can get it through the budget line also. And the better bundle would be determined this way because your MRS has to allow for that. So what is happening? I would go directly to this point. Okay. We have here this indifference curve. If you calculate your MRS, let's say it is -5 here, but when you arrive here, then it is equivalent to minus 0.5. So what does it mean from this point to this point? When you come down, your MRS is declining and it is now less negative. And because of this, your substitution cost is also less, and you want to follow the average bundle of these two extremes, and we call these preferences as a convex preferences. In concave or non-convex relationships, the MRS is minus 0.5 here, but when you reach to this extreme, this is equivalent to minus 5 here. So that's why we do not follow convexity or the average bundle of two extremes in the non-convex preferences. Now, if MRS is not always increasing as X1 increases, so that is not always the case. Okay, sometimes middle non-convex preferences does not allow that, and this becomes, MRS is equals to -2, though you are starting with this lower value over here. So such preferences are also non-convex preferences and would shuffle your value of MRS in this case and the cost of substitution too. Then we'll come to the homothetic preferences. But just tell me if everything is clear until till now, then we will proceed. Yes, guys, if it is clear.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
if not clear, we can discuss.
Understood, ma'am.
That's clear. Okay, fine. So now we have homothetic preferences. If consumer preferences depends only on the ratio of good 1 to good 2, this means consumer prefers x1, x2 to y1, y2. Now, if consumers, the preferences are dependent only with good 1 to good 2, okay, in the same proportion, then the consumer is preferring one bundle to the other bundle. So his preferences we can rewrite like this. Now it's double, then y would also be double. If it is triple, then the y would also be triple. So if x1 preferences are dependent on the y1 preferences, then our homothetic preferences would look like this. The ratio of good 1 to good 2 is the same for all of these bundles. So our homothetic preferences would look like this. So here we have x1, x2, that is you can even call it the 45-degree line too. But this we have budget line, this also we have budget line. A parallel budget line, we know that there is no change in the prices, but there are the indifference curves. The indifference curve IC1, IC2, and IC3, they are also parallel to each other. Okay, so the homothetic preferences shows that these are 45-degree line. It means this x1 and this x2. If you are increasing x1 dash and this x2 dash, that is in the same proportion both ways. And that is why we do follow our preferences like this. Then we have quasi-linear preferences. The quasi-linear preferences are also very important, and this shows that we have two goods. Okay. Similarly, like we had other goods in other functions like perfect substitutes, perfect complements, even for the normal goods like x1 and x2. But these quasi-linear preferences are also supports the indifference curves. How? Here I have made a bracket on this x1. Now this shows that this particular commodity's consumption now would remain constant in our analysis, and the x2's consumption is variable. हाँ जी सर, सर मैं क्लास ले रही हूँ, मेरे पास कितने फोन आ रहे हैं बताओ इस चीज के लिए बार बार. हाँ हाँ ठीक है. ओके. See, so we have this x1. So this is the utility of this x1 is definitely here. The we assume that is the constant, okay, and the x2's utility, that is the variable. So increasing income doesn't change. See, this is very important line. If the consumer's income is increasing, it doesn't change the demand for good one. That is why this remains what the constant, okay. But the x2's demand would now be changing. So the real income which is enhancing for the consumer is now be spent on this x2. So we call it a partially linear utility function, and that's why we call it quasi-linear utility preferences. And we say that the zero income effect for the good one in this particular analysis. So we our utility function here, this would remain constant, and entirely this x2 you are spending. Or in another words, I can describe this particular function like this, that the x2 would now be the function of x1. The function x2 would now be the function of x1. The reason behind it, whatever you spend, at the initial stage on this particular commodity, that would be final and a constant. So whatever you spend on it, that is the last one. But then further, whatever income is now remaining, that you will be spending on this x2. So x2 is automatically becoming the function of x1. So this way also the quasi-linear preferences can also be defined. Another thing is, which is very important with the quasi-linear preferences, because it's a partially linear, because here it is a non-linear in the characteristics, and here we have it is a linear in the characteristics. So if the consumer wants to increase its utility, okay, we know the cardinal utility is what, like the Marshall analysis. So if the consumer would like to increase their utility, all the time the utility would increase like this, okay. Like this means it is becoming flatter, like total production curve. Total production curve which is increasing at the initial stage, then it is constant, then it is declining. So like this, the utility curve would enhance further to more. So this says that one function which is a linear function and one variable which is a linear one, the other a variable which is non-linear. Because of this, that the curve is shifting upward like this, and from these particular curves you can derive the indifference curve. So here we arrived on another definition of indifference curve, and that is what the indifference curve is: the shadow of quasi-concave utility functions. Okay, here we are discussing the quasi-linear preferences. From quasi-linear preferences you can understand the quasi-concave utility functions too. Okay, but will not go to the detail right now on the quasi linear preferences. Just for the characteristics you should know in the basics, and that is what the quasi linear preferences is talking about: a constant utility function which is a partial constant or the partial nonlinear function, and the zero income effect you would see on good one, but good two you would see the income effects accordingly. And there are some properties of the MRS also, we'll discuss when the details would be there. Now, this is the quasi-linear preferences which you can draw as the indifference curve. Now, you see here we have x1 and here we have x2. So, x1 is your constant, fine. So, that is why initially you are just spending or consuming this much of x1. Now, after that, you do not want to consume it. So, this is becoming constant. So, that is why it is a vertical line now. So everything is now, shifted to x2. That's why your indifference curve would now touch to this point, and this point. Okay, so now it is touching, and budget lines would go like this for optimal choice. This is the optimal choice where this and this combinations you are arriving. So this how you can show your quasi-linear preferences. Similarly, we can discuss about these Cobb-Douglas preferences. The Cobb-Douglas preferences, here this is the demand function for the Cobb-Douglas. How to derive it will come on later, because we are not discussing about the demand right now. But this is the utility function, the x1's power alpha, x2's power 1 minus alpha. And this utility function which follows and supports this MR is also, when x1 is increasing, then x2 has to decline. So your Cobb-Douglas preferences would be like this. Okay, same way what we have discussed about homothetic preferences, because it supports homothetic preferences too. These we know, that is the neutral preferences, the when we have this commodity as a constant. Okay, so uh, sorry, which commodity is constant, which is increasing? This x1 we have here, and the x2 we have here. So at the same time we don't have this way of rise, so only your x is rising and the y is not rising. In other words, we can define the marginal utility of one commodity is zero, and the marginal utility of other commodity is variable. So here the marginal utility for this commodity is variable and this is constant. Similarly, here if you will come, this is going upward. It means the commodity Y is the variable in terms of marginal utility, and here the marginal utility of X, that is zero for a consumer. We always study that the vertical and the horizontal shapes are not possible in case of indifference curve, which is actually not true. In exceptional cases, this is possible when the marginal utility of consumers, one commodity is getting zero, another is variable. So these shapes are also possible in case of preferences. We call it neutral preferences. Even there are the corner preferences also. So we'll discuss those corner preferences and the corner solutions in case of optimal choices. So I think till now, whatever we discussed, can discuss more in the doubts. I'm ending this presentation here with, so the now you can ask your questions, or you can study more, or you can ask in